Genevieve Jacobs, the Group Editor for Region Media for the Right Act, and also for the Chair of the Arts Ministers Creative Council, which is where I worked with the wonderful Liz Lee, who is such an inspiration with her energy, her skill and her creativity. She is a tremendously hardworking and generous artist. And we've seen a pretty dazzling array of films this evening, culminating in Dance with a Bullet, and it's really a great pleasure to be joined by the film's director, Daya Joda, and co-producer, Talal Al-Muhanna. Welcome to you both. How marvellous to have you with us.
Hello.
It seems so strange, doesn't it, doing this from such a great distance, but it's the marvel of technology. Daya, I wanted to start with you. There are many brave things about this film, and one of them is making a film about someone who is close to you, someone who matters to you in your heart. Tell me about how the idea of the film began for you.
Well, hello, good morning or good evening. The idea was just actually to start when I started the city around us, because me with Anwar, we studied the same university, we share, like we live in the same neighborhood from Baghdad. We grew up in the same, more or less, same cafes, same places. And the idea started when I start seeing the things disappear, like the building, cinema building, because of the war, the American, they attack everything. And I start to run after these places and people around me, of course. Like when I see the places that start to disappear, including my own house. So the idea was just starting to document things, friend and the places. This total, like let's say, immediately after the end of 2003, maybe.
And how did you persuade Anwar that it was a good idea to make a film that's so personal about his life, his creativity, your friendship? You asked him to relive this terrible thing that happened to him, the shooting. How did you convince him this was a good thing to do?
I think we started before even he get shot, because they start to make a new art in Iraq, which is, they call it the drama dance. It's kind of art. They started like 2002 or 2001 maybe. It's a start with an Iraqi guy come back from Sweden and try to make a new different theater. And Anwar was from the young generation who joined him, and they start to showing different, for us it was a new. It's also new to see a man on the stage dancing, you know, the traditional. It wasn't easy. So, yeah, it wasn't like, I don't make a film about Anwar because he get shot. I just take him as example for the young generation artists. And then the drama of the wars go everywhere, not just for the dancers, or for filmmaker, actors. We lose a lot of friends actually. So I know it's very difficult for Anwar. It was like he get affected, he get shot. But yeah, I think all of the generation, everybody take his part from the war, let's say that, like that.
The dance is extraordinarily powerful and beautiful, and it is very moving to see those beautiful, strong male bodies moving with such creativity on the stage. Talal, tell me how you became involved in this project. How did Daya convince you to be part of it?
Yeah, so in my past life, I used to be a dancer and choreographer myself, actually, and then I went to study film in Leeds in the UK around 2005, and when I graduated from there, I came back to Kuwait and decided I wanted to, work in the documentary field. So, naturally, when I came across this project, which had already been in progress for a few years, about a male dancer and set in the Arab world and the Middle East, close to Kuwait, I couldn't resist it in a way as a producer. And so I got in touch with the main producer of the project, who's based in Belgium, and we discussed the project together. And from then on, I started working from my end in Kuwait raising funds for the film from regional funders, and here we are many years later.
Well, I know that working to tell Arab stories is important to you. So what was it in particular about Anmar's story, about Dia's film, that really resonated, that made you want to put in what's obviously been a long effort to bring this to fruition?
Yeah, so after I came back from Leeds, I began working on documentaries with a variety of Arab filmmakers, and what I found was that many of the filmmakers, especially on their first or second films, really wanted to tell their stories first, in a way. And I think that's just one of the ways that I really like to work with people. So to help them get their personal story to the screen. And in this film, it was a combination of two things. It was the really excellent dancing of Anmar. Having been a dancer myself, when I looked at it, I said, he's really good. Like, this is somebody worth following in a way. And on the other hand, with the filmmaker, him also bringing his sort of personal experiences through the narration to the story, it kind of, brought those two big interests of mine together. And so, that's what inspired the get-together, I would say.
Dia, it's a film that took 10 years to make. I'm wondering whether your vision for the film changed over that period.
Well, yes, of course. Let's be clear about it, because when I start this movie, I don't see clearly the end, because we are just following character, myself, the situation, the country, everything changed every day. So we don't know, we don't have plan when we will end. Finally, in the beginning it was just to document things, and then I start to say, okay, let's see where they're gonna take the story, and the story of Anmar or myself, or even the story of Iraq after the occupation. So, yeah, it takes time, because things take time, like to see where we are going, because we don't know actually. When we start, we want to make something, piece of art together, or then things went differently as you watch in the movie. Like in the beginning, you see Anmar, he say, actually I was in my way to Belgium to study, then Saddam left, and I decided to back with a lot of young artists we have the belief in the country, and that we can restart and we stay in our country. But as you see, like, so I end somewhere else, and he's somewhere else, and the country is somewhere else again. Yeah.
I mean, it struck me when I was watching the film that it could have taken so many different paths. This could have been a film that was simply about dance. It could have been a film that was about war. It could have been a film that was about dislocation and dispossession in many ways. So there were many, many threads to this. Because you're telling your own story in a way too, aren't you? Anmar is such a compelling figure. But this is also the story of your friendship. It's the story of losing your home, of struggling to be resilient and find a way to make a new life.
It is. I think it's important, because I take our story as symbol for what happened there. If you see what happened to us actually during the movie, it's like image for the whole country. Like what happened in Iraq, it's our story also, because the dance with Anmar is also developed, like our change the way. It starts with drama dance, and then he switched to Boto, something with the Iraq traditional dance, because they discover like this Japanese dance with how they express themselves, how they could talk about war. Before it was just to make like a Shakespeare drama dance, I don't know what. Then because of the war effect, also the dance affect the art, affect the cinema as well, and it was developing like this. So yeah, like for me it was important also to filming the way he changed from dancing from big group, and then he started to be step by step solo dance, try to express the war during his art. And the same way with me, I start to, like I said in the movie, in the beginning, I want to make like fiction movie, and I found myself documentary filmmaker. So.
Mm. And he is an absolutely compelling figure to watch. Every emotion filters through his body. You can see his feelings, not only on his face, but in the way he moves at every instance. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Talal, one of the appealing things about this film is that we see so many stories in the West of conflict or idealised or exaggerated images of somewhere like Iraq. And I've actually travelled to Iran myself. I haven't been to Iraq, but I've been to Iran twice, and I know that the images we in the West carry of countries like Iraq are often so surface, they're often so inaccurate, they're so lacking in complexity and depth. And here we have a film that's a complex story about art and loss. What do you hope this film achieves?
You know, it's interesting you bring this up because I worked on a feature film that was shot in Iraq a couple of years ago, and I had never been there myself. And you know, my mom's from the States, my dad's from Kuwait, so I'm this kind of mix, let's say. So I had this similar kind of reticence to go there for the shooting of the film, because I wasn't involved in you know, on location with the shooting of the film in Iraq, so I never went there for that. But certainly when I got to Iraq, it was fine, actually. that was the kind of interesting and surprising part of it. We shot in the north of Iraq, in Kurdistan to begin with, and I have this memory of walking in the streets of Suleimaniye, you know, after midnight, looking for a pack of cigarettes, you know, in the middle of our shoot. And I can tell you that I felt safer there than I might feel in New York at the same time of night, in fact. So definitely through the media, you know, we get this picture of Iraq, which is maybe in some parts accurate, but in many parts, I think it's a kind of inflated negative image of the country and of the people and of the place. And I think sometimes you just have to go there to see it, to kind of, you know, get it, let's say, for yourself, you know, what that's like. I probably lost the thread of your question. But,
No, I think you've evoked it beautifully, and indeed I had the very same feelings in Iran. I thought this is spectacular and beautiful and not at all what the people at home think it is. But I guess really at the heart of this is that we don't see a lot of images of making art in places like Iraq. We don't see a lot of images of people like Anmar who are using their bodies, what's that lovely phrase, the magic we make with our bodies to tell their stories.
definitely, and there is plenty going on there. I mean, I think Leah can speak about it more than I can. Leah?
Yes, it's like, why we don't see them, or the question?
Well, I think it's true that we don't see the making of art, the creativity, the use of the arts to express the personal and the national stories of a place like Iraq. It's all about the current events, it's all about the war and the suffering, but it's not about the art making.
Yes, I think this one of the reason why all my work now, I do all my movie in Iraq, because I think we have the right and we have the responsibility to tell our story to the world. Because during the war, when I arrived to Europe, they switch us from human being to numbers, like today 100 people get killed in Iraq, and it start to be normal, like we are not a human being, or we don't have normal life, or I don't know, just, and also if I watch the movie, especially American movie, like make about Iraqi people, always they show us or victim or criminal. So we just want to tell our story as a human being. And there is a lot of a new generation, like the different scene of art in Iraq, because the country was locked for a long time with during Saddam government, and after he left, suddenly the country is open, like you have internet, satellite, everything, and people start to travel as well. Before we are not able to go anywhere, so I'm not surprised that the people don't know about us because we were big deal actually. So, but now as I see, like it's different. Like now I'm making a new documentary about this, and you are just take part of it about art and the revolution in the movement now in Iraq. It's totally different. Even my generation, like the way they think, the way they speak English even better than me or my generation, and it's different now. I think we will see more movie, more theater, more because it start to be open. And as Talat said now, the situation is better. Like just I checked the news today, I see like theater festival in Baghdad. There is a few Arabic countries there, and they showing them art. So we will see more. This I'm positive for this, like for the future.
Well, just finally, Dia, the film doesn't have a neat ending. It'd be lovely to see you both in the same country, resuming your old friendship, but your lives have taken harder and more different paths than that. I am wondering how Anmar feels about the film.
Well, as I mentioned in the movie, it was our last trip together in Sweden, and Anmar, let's say like, we don't meet each other after this, actually. It's not just me, even with his best friend, he liked to be like working alone in Sweden, which I accepted. Like we used to accept a lot of things after leaving the war and after moving to the new country and try to forget the past, which I accepted actually. I don't know, like if we don't meet after, so I don't know what you think about the movie. We didn't watch it together actually.
Okay, look, I thank you for sharing that with us because this is life too. Thank you both so much for your time. Dia Joda and Talal Al-Mahana, the film is very beautiful on very many levels, and it's been wonderful to be able to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. It's been wonderful to share this experience with you as part of the Bold Festival, and I hope that you'll all go away with your thoughts provoked, your imagination fired, and your hearts alight to the beauty of dance. Thank you so much.